Houston reports a good deploy to ensure no recontact with the International Space Station. SUTSAT's orbit will decay in a few weeks, where it will then enter the Earth's atmosphere and burn up.
This is to Houston. This is Commander Diaz. Do we have any debris close to our trajectory?
Evening, Commander. Negative on that. Clear sailing as far as we can see down here. If there was any cause for alarm, you know we'd see it too. Your crew members can keep sleeping tight.
Well, I'm seeing something out there. I can't make it out, but whatever it is, it's getting closer.
Tell you, Commander. We're not anything.
Houston, repeat again. Can't be.
Diaz, copy. Commander Diaz, do you copy?
Houston, you're not gonna believe this. I'm picking up transmissions on the ham radio that sound identical to the SUTSAT experiment. And that debris, it's an Orlan spacesuit.
I'm not sure I'm hearing you right. Repeat that, Commander?
SUTSAT. I'm saying SUTSAT.
You're mistaken, Diaz. SUTSAT re-entered the atmosphere and burned up years ago. It's impossible.
Yeah, I know it's impossible,
But
but...
I know what I'm saying. It's SUTSAT. It's come back. And it's not just in orbit. It's headed right for the ISS. You're not making any sense. Say that again? Commander. Man, you need to try and...
Up here, the sky is black. Up here, the sky is black.
Up here, the sky is black.
I need to alert the crew.
Diaz. Commander Diaz, do you copy? Diaz.
Hi folks! The long-awaited 2023 Epic Mega Jam is closing in, with first, second, and third place prizes for Unreal Engine, UEFN, and student entries. This year's Epic Mega Jam has 11 modifier categories, so register now on the itch.io event page and head to the blog at unrealengine.com/feed to learn how to participate. Our 9th Marketplace anniversary sale is here, with over 1,700 products now 50% off across props, characters, environments, sounds, blueprints, systems, and more. The options for your current or next project are plentiful, so go ahead and look at some of our top picks on the feed. While there, grow in knowledge with our recent developer interview with NeoWiz Games and Round 8 Studio, as they explain how they took inspiration from Pinocchio to deliver the fierce third-person action game Lies of P, created in Unreal Engine. We chatted with two high school friends who used Unreal Engine 5.1 to create the atmospheric retro shooter Gvark, a game that uses new-gen tools with an 80s aesthetic. Dive into their spotlight to see how they did. Moving over to this week's Community Spotlights. Escape the walled city and take on the militarized government of the Sprawl. Fueled by the blood of your enemies and a mysterious voice in your head, make your way to the spire to topple whatever lies within. Wishlist, the hardcore retro FPS set in the endless cyberpunk metropolis that is Sprawl by Maith on the Epic Games Store. Inspired by Stargate and The Mummy, senior environment concept artist Vladimir Donchenko has masterfully created an interactive art project in UE5 featuring an ancient Egyptian temple with several large areas. Let them know what you think of the Aru on their art station. Our last spotlight of the week comes courtesy of 3D artist Leo Torres, with their photorealistic environment showcasing a quiet path through a pine forest. They created Virtual Pine Garden using a combination of nanite, lumen, Quixel assets and textures, and third-party assets. Watch in full over on the forums. Thanks for watching this week's news and Community Spotlight.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inside Unreal, a weekly show where we learn, explore, and celebrate everything Unreal. I'm your host, Tina, and today with me I have some of the crew from Fast Travel Games who are going to be going over some genuinely really cool tools today. I am very excited to get into the actual demo and start building because I feel like I'm going to just be in awe the whole time today. But before I get ahead of myself, let's go ahead and go through and get some introductions in here. So to start us off, Christopher, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for letting us be on the show. So I'm Christopher. I'm the CTO and one of the founders of Fast Travel Games. I've been in the games industry for close to 2 decades now. Spent a bit over 10 years at EA, DICE, and Frostbite. So that's kind of where I grew up in my gaming skills, so to say. And then for the past 7 years, been running Fast Travel Games and building VR games. And yeah, it's going to be super exciting to show some of the stuff that we're doing.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. And then next we have Cal. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself as well?
Love to. Yeah, so my name's Kalle, and I've been in the games industry for not 2 decades, but 2 years, because this is my first real job after school, which I'm very happy about. And I've studied and came along here, and I'm a tools programmer and R&D programmer here at the R&D section of our company, together with these 3 fine gentlemen. And we make some good tools to make some cool games.
Awesome. Very excited to have you here as well. And welcome to the industry. Very exciting.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Then last but certainly not least, we have Henrik. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself as well?
Yes, I am also pretty new in the industry. I've been here for like 1.5 to 2 years now, I think. And I got straight into R&D, and I love it. So I'm really excited about what we're gonna show you here today, because it's probably what I've spent most of my time on while I've been here.
Yeah, a lot of love has gone into these tools for sure. Yes. All right, well, I want to get into it, but before we do, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Just for context, for anyone who's watching, would one of you like to tell everyone what the tools are that we're going to be looking at today and kind of what you plan on walking us through?
Yeah, should I go? Yeah.
Let's start off.
So pretty much what we've got here is an integration of Blender geometry nodes into Unreal Engine. So what we've got here is something that enables us to procedurally make models and build worlds and whatever you want, pretty much model-wise, in the engine live by using accessing Blender behind the scenes and pretty much building that geometry and sending it over to Unreal and then being able to bake it down and use it in game after the fact. So this is I guess the poor man's Houdini, or whatever you want to call it. But it's what we've been working on, and it's very exciting. So pretty much anything that we can produce in geometry nodes in Blender, we can get in the engine now, which is very exciting. And today I'm gonna build a scene from scratch, which is hopefully gonna go fine, and just show some of the tools that we've been building that usually utilizes this technology, and just to get a feel for how it works and get to pick Henke's brain about technical details and seeing some cool results in the end. I hope.
But then also one
absolutely.
of the things is one of the cool things is kind of the iterative workflow, that it's kind of a non-destructive, that we jump between the dynamic world of the Blender, then baking meshes down to static meshes in Unreal, so we can do proper lighting and everything. So that's kind of what we are super excited about.
And being able to iterate without too much pain and so on and so forth. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And I think we can hop over to our screen now and get going if we can.
Yeah, let's do it.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I guess we can just start off with showing you this little folder down here, which is a collection of a bunch of tools we've made, which is basically all of these pretty much represent a Blender file somewhere in the cyberspace. And when these are dragged into the scene, that file is accessed by Unreal through the tools that Henke has made, and then it produces the geometry in the scene. So we'll just start and we can just get going right away. So we're gonna build kind of a aircraft hangar here today, as you might have seen in the thumbnail, I guess. So to start off, I guess we should make ourselves a little hangar. And a really cool thing here that you're gonna see right away is that cool thing I think is that we're using the Unreal modeling tools to make our input shapes. Pretty much. So what I mean by that is the networks in Blender use meshes to produce the results that they make in the end. And to get that initial information into Blender, we have to get it from somewhere, and we chose to go with modeling tools to make the shapes pretty much, and then pipe them over to Blender so we can produce the results and then spit them back over. So we're here in the modeling workflow or modeling suite, I guess you could call it. And we're gonna make our first input shape, which is gonna be the big hangar room. Yes. So pretty much just working away with extrusions and whatnot. Nothing too crazy. And then we're gonna see our first little tool come to life, I guess. Right here.
Worth mentioning is that we kind of want to give our level designers the control of defining kind of the layout of the levels and the maps, but still giving our artists full control of the visual results. So what's happening in Blender is under artist control, and what happens in Unreal is under level design control, basically. And then it's a matter of building cool input geometry.
Yes, which we have just finished now. So now we can find our little corridors network here, which I've made in Blender behind the scenes for a long time ago. And then if we access Henke's little nice widget up here and press edit mesh, we're gonna get the results from a default shape that exists in Blender. But then, of course, this wouldn't be very interesting if that's what all you could do. So then we can pull a new shape into it, which was the shape that we just made. So this is pretty much just like, yeah, this is the first result, I guess, we're gonna need for this scene here. We can play some lights in there to be able to see what we're doing. Some working lights, if you will, for some safe construction work.
What's really cool here also is that you can update this on the fly while the network is in edit mode, basically. So if Kalle now decides that, oh, I actually wanted that wall to be a little bit closer to the center, he can just
exactly
change the input mesh, and it's gonna update right away.
Yes. So let's do that right now. That's actually a good call because I forgot to bevel the edges, which I have definitely not practiced behind the scenes. So if we go ahead and change the mesh now, we're gonna be able to accept that change and then see the network update in real time, which makes the whole workflow very nice for people who hate making permanent final decisions, because you don't have to, which is very nice. So there you saw it like kind of twitching a bit, and we got a new result. So yeah, we got our hangar room, which is nice. Awesome. So to get ourselves a little centerpiece here to look at while we make all the other stuff, we're gonna place this ship here that I made beforehand and rotate it so it looks good, and then just keep on rolling. So next up, we're gonna do pretty much the same thing, but we're gonna make one of our little walkways that we have developed. So just keeping on, doing a bunch of edge edits and face edits and whatnot. Loving the, you have to scroll a bit for sometimes for it to show up, which is very nice. This is pretty much like, this is very interesting, just being able to like, without like any hindrance, just like trying stuff, doing things on the fly. If it doesn't work, then you change it, and if it does work, nice, then you bake it down to our static mesh, which we'll see very soon. Here we got something, and then a bit, triangulate. We're gonna make a little cool walkway that goes over the plane here, or maybe spaceship. I don't know what to call it.
The ship.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think ship, in general, kind of encompasses.
Yeah, you feel more of a ship vibe, maybe. Yeah, that feels good.
DP_ship. Yes.
Here we go.
I mean, one of the rationales behind this is that we developers are lazy and kind of manually placing meshes, and then when we want to reshape the level, having to go back and redo a lot of the work is kind of boring. So kind of why we are looking at making tools that kind of make the modeling process a bit fun, and kind of iteration a bit more fun, and remove that feeling of, no, I don't want to go in and change my level, because that means a lot of work. Now it's just go in and change the level, and you press a button and you have a new mesh.
Exactly.
And also that we can continuously work on the Blender geometry network tool separately, and if we add new features to that one, just import a new tool, and again press a button and regenerate the entire level. So.
Yeah. So as you can see here, this definitely is going through our ship, so that probably needs to change. So we'll do that, and we got a new one. That made the stair a bit too steep, so we're gonna pull it out a bit. Hopefully that will gonna make it work. There we go. Cool.
Looks good.
A bit of mirroring perhaps, so it goes down on the other side as well. Right maybe left. There we go. There we go. And as you can see now, we've got some railings covering up the entrance to our stairs, which is not going to be very helpful for our aerospace engineers or whatever who's going to work on this stuff. So we have a pretty cool feature here where we can use mesh painting data or vertex color data that is sent over along with all the vertex positions and normals and everything like that to change the outcome in the network in Blender. So of course that needs some doodling on the Blender side, but you just like make it look at the right vertex color data and then paint it in a color that you choose and make it understand what the outcome is going to be. Obviously, you can get some new results, which is very cool, and that really is one of the things that kind of increases like the artist like level design control a lot, because otherwise pretty much you're going to be like your fate is going to be in the hands of me pretty much in our case to make a network and rules that apply to absolutely everything in every situation that always works. But with this kind of workflow, you can go in and point at specific parts of the mesh and say, hey, I want this to be different. This doesn't look good to me, or whatever it might be, which is very nice. Gives people more control over the outcome. So we're gonna keep on editing a little bit here and then add some cool props.
You can see Christopher smiling. We're both sitting here kind of in awe because I've been mostly in the code side of things, so I've only been trying like the simpler networks when I've been trying out the code. So seeing Kalle do this is really fun.
Yeah, for me, I'm like
Getting to see it actually
I would love to make beautiful levels like this, and I definitely can't model, but I can do boxes. So
boxes are easier. That's the whole aim, pretty much. Yes, just getting closer here to finishing this up.
One of the things I've been hoping for with this tool is also that it can hopefully give artists more time on things that they enjoy doing, so that they won't have to remodel an entire set of stairs and like entire process, like taking that mesh and remodeling it and re-importing it just because we need like one edge 200 units to the left.
Right.
Yeah, definitely like opens up for some little bit smoother iteration times and stuff. Hopefully, if I don't mess up too bad.
That's the aim.
So there we go. We've got a little bit more stuff now, and then we'll mesh paint a little bit more, and then we'll keep going with some props. There we go.
This is awesome. There is a question here as kind of a follow-up to what you were saying about how the vertex paint gets exported over. They're wondering if collision shapes are also exported as well.
Yes.
Cool. Sorry.
Sorry.
You go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So we have two solutions for that. So one is that we can use another network in the same file that generates a simple collision mesh. For example, if you, as you know, if you used Unreal, like the auto-generated mesh is not always suitable for what you need, so you can do a custom mesh. And the other one is that we have a settings file, as you can see there.
This one here, yeah.
Yeah, where you can select like how detailed you want it to generate the mesh. So once you press the build button and it converts like to a static mesh, it will also generate collision. And that will be baked into a LOD, a separate LOD.
And the one worth mentioning is that we also generate loads when we make the static mesh. So we again with the data asset can define the number of loads and the amount of simplification that we do for each load step. So kind of the standard things you will find in the static mesh editor for Unreal, but just kind of placing it in one place. You can create your presets and reuse them between different networks.
Very cool.
We're gonna see that in action a little bit later as well, changing the load steps and stuff to make it a little bit less aggressive and stuff for the things that need it.
Yeah, so right now we've both mostly been in the dynamic edit mode, but that's one of the cool things that you can just like swap on the fly. Just make the mesh, and then once you want to change it, you just put it in edit mode. And
so right now, perhaps, so we've done some cool walkways and stuff, and we got a big room, but we can also change materials. So in the editor here, in the editor panel, we set materials in Blender, and during when we transfer over to Unreal, we can find those material slots assigned in Blender and pretty much translate that to material slots, the regular material slots in Unreal. So then you can just assign a material that you think suits that part of the mesh, and it finds it using the names of the materials and stuff. So you can assign whatever you want to them, and as you can see, I've made some really good names here: floor, slop 2, and walls. Could perhaps use some the classics, Could perhaps use some cleaning up a little bit later. But yeah, you can change the materials whenever you want, and that opens up for some fun stuff as well. We're gonna do it for this one too. I've of course prepared these with some Megascans materials to fit the occasion. There we go. Very nice. And this is a bit bigger mesh. Few 10,000s birds, maybe like 70,000 or something last time I tried it. And that takes a slightly longer while, but nothing too crazy. There we go. And yeah, now these can be accessed by any other static mesh shenanigans we want to do. So now I'm gonna add some cool props, just for the flavor, so you don't get too bored looking at all these gray boxes and stuff.
To look sleek.
Yeah.
I mean, that worth mentioning is that's kind of how we look at these tools. It's not a silver bullet for everything. It's a tool for certain parts of the level. So typically in this case, the walls and floors and ceiling, etc. But you still want to prop dress it really nicely and kind of give level design and artist all of that freedom. So. Yeah, just another tool.
Yes. I noticed that this was a bit too small, so let's change it. And now it fits. Very nice. Don't want to have to open up Blender again and change that, I guess. That's like kind of the strength of this whole thing, in our opinion, being able to do stuff like that and not having to go out into another, go out to Blender or Maya or whatever, change it up and come back and hope it fits. But you can see it live, which is very nice. And as Christopher said, you're probably not going to use this for absolutely everything, but some things that can be described like this that are pretty repetitive and stuff like that, that's a really good fit.
Right. So I have a question about.
Yeah.
I have a question about just kind of the thought process behind the creation of the tools in the first place. I know, Christopher, you said that, of course, these were built with the intention of helping out team members and making things a little more expeditious and putting a little bit more fun back into modeling and stuff like that. But were these tools built out of necessities that you were finding within your own team as you were going through making projects, and just kind of went further from there?
It's a combination of a lot of things, really. It's kind of part of our DNA that we want to challenge how we build things, continuously try to do things better, and tools has been part of our development process since day one, really. So that's again just some thoughts behind that we do want to challenge and kind of see, can we find new, smarter ways to do things. There are, of course, also financial reasonings behind it. Like if we can output more with less, that's a good economy. We are still a small studio compared to the AAA world, but we want to kind of have high ambitions and create pretty nice game worlds. And if we can put the focus on kind of more of the hero props and kind of reduce the amount of work we need to do on kind of the bread and butter stuff, that's a huge win for the studio as well. And then there's also the truth that it's pretty cool tech and we love doing pretty cool stuff. So that's also a big reason for it. But we were obviously looking at what was out there. We've tried and looked at Houdini, for instance, which is kind of the gold standard of procedural tools. But it's also a very kind of general purpose tool, a very big suite of things. And I really like when we create tools that are kind of made for a specific purpose. So I kind of prefer the whole special purpose over the general purpose. So with these kind of tools, I mean, the pipeline that Henke and Kalle has been building is a general purpose tool pipeline that we can reuse, of course, but the actual networks that we use, they are specifically made for a specific purpose. Again, allowing art to have full control of what the result is, like we have an awesome art direction, make sure that the art that we generate looks the way it should and kind of is comparable to what our artists would do if they were to build manually. So that's also important that we have that control. And that's also the reason why we are building the tools ourselves, is that then we control our own fate. If we want to add stuff, if we want to remove stuff or change stuff, then we have the knowledge of what we have built. We have also kind of the code. We're not depending on someone else.
Yeah. Self-reliance.
And then also, I mean, going with Blender, it's also, I mean, it's becoming the go-to tool in the studio. So more and more artists are moving over to Blender for normal 3D modeling. And we just love building tools for Blender. It's such a powerful thing. I kind of love the open source community behind that. So for us, it's a combination of just tech that we like, combined with great business value and just making the entire creation process more fun.
It is fun.
Yeah, streamlining it a bit and not having to wait too much for updates from people who know what they're doing,
No, but it's also worth mentioning that these tools, even though we are showing them here today, they are still very much under development. So we are in the process of getting feedback from level designers, from artists. How is it to work with them, getting that feedback and improving the tools. Henke has been chugging along with this for a very long time. It's quick to get something working, but then getting it into a state where you can bring it into production is a very long process. So we may not be entirely ready for prime time just yet, but we're really, really, really close. So I guess this for us was a perfect timing just to kind of show what we're doing and kind of just see what again, sharing is caring. See what other people are doing, what they think. Is it just the three of us that are super passionate about this? More people.
Definitely. And like kind of a light version of this has been deployed kind of in our games, where we have used the tools in Blender and then exported the meshes from there, but not used this live bridge, so to speak. So that's been great to see, and that has helped us a lot, which has been amazing. In some development we've been doing, and but this is just like kind of the next step, and making it like so there's even less friction or whatever to making these like models and making things like really fast and keeping it like fun without too much pain on the way there. Having to make hundreds of pieces, sections of something that you then puzzle together or whatever. This is a good solve for that purpose.
And it's also a process for the entire studio. I mean, we work in R&D teams, so it's part of our job to kind of try new things and see if there's something interesting for the game teams to pick up. But it's also equally important that the people that will use the tools, that they feel that they're getting something that is really helping them, that is empowering them. So it's been a super interesting journey going from tools to like, tools. It's fun to see compared to a year ago and where we are today, both mentally and technically. It's been wild.
It's changed a lot. I mean, what you're seeing here is, might seem a bit like cumbersome or whatever you want to call it, but it's better now, which I'm glad for.
Right now we are using Unreal modeling tools because it's kind of cool to stay in engine. You can use, you could author your meshes in whatever program you want, place them in the level, apply the networks, and still kind of get the whole generation process. You're not bound to using Unreal modeling tools. It's just that we thought that was super cool and kind of wanted to explore that avenue. And then obviously, if you are used to using Blender or Maya for doing modeling, then moving to modeling tools it has a kind of a learning curve. So again, we're just trying all kinds of things and kind of seeing what makes sense and getting the people that will actually use these tools, getting their feedback and that input, and seeing what we need to do to get this into a super good state.
Yeah. It's definitely changed a lot just over the last few months. It's improved drastically, and it's been very fun to see.
When you start making something like this, there's a lot of things you don't think about at all that they're going to be an issue, and it's there's always something like you think you're going to be done next week, and then when somebody is actually trying your tool, you find that actually I need to fix these 15 more things as well. But it's a fun process, and it's really fun to see how, especially when you have version control, you're just looking back at what you had and what you have now. It's fun.
Maybe you can just share a little bit about how it actually works.
Sure. What's actually happening is that when you pull in one of these, first of all, you import the networks.
Yes.
By actually you drag in a Blender file into the scene, and it creates it creates an actor that has all the parameters on it. And when you pull one of these into the to the scene and press edit, it's launching a PowerShell script, a PowerShell terminal in the background that opens up a Python instance and
of Blender.
Yeah, so it's not actually Blender running, but it's a module that I have compiled. You can compile Blender to a module, Python module, and then when we're like syncing up and using a system buffer in Windows to transfer over the data and make sure that it's synchronized with the web control API in Unreal.
Yeah, so we're communicating back to Unreal through the Unreal web control API.
Exactly, yeah.
To send all that data over.
We're basically
buckets.
letting the network update in in Blender and then just firing a signal to Unreal to say, hey, it's ready to fetch.
So that's kind of you're gonna see a bit later with the more dynamic tools that are like more real time. You can see it kind of stuttering along. It's very close to real time, which Henk has done a absolutely stellar job with. The performance is, yeah. I guess I'm just a lot of this is being comparing to like what we used to have, but the performance now has gotten really good, and yeah, you can just see it. You can see it like coming through and updating really fast, which is absolutely amazing.
So one of the ideas you had at first was that we thought it was going to be a lot more expensive and slow, and was thinking that maybe we needed to run on like a separate server somewhere, or, but we ended up going with just using a system buffer instead, because it changed the speed so much. Like it's such an optimization, just being able to immediately move over the data, basically.
Yeah. We tried some of the I think you tried some like baking to JSON and then extracting from there and doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, at first we used JSON, but it yeah, we probably sped up update speed by 10 times not using that.
A lot of this has been like, which has been like very noticeable, has been like, you know, optimization work and stuff. And that's been, extremely noticeable. And just like how much, it's like fascinating to think about like the difference going from, you know, I guess like 100 milliseconds for an update to then like 10 or something, which Henk has done like recently. And then like thinking about how long it took before that and how much better it feels having it that fast.
We started out with seconds.
Yeah. Those up. I mean, and we thought that was amazing. I mean, it was fun, you know, seeing your.
It works.
Yeah, it was fun seeing your Blender stuff, like in Unreal, I guess. But it's really fun now to be able to do this, pretty, you know, fast, pretty fast. Like you can build a scene like in. Yeah, it feels like you have a flow. You know, you don't get too caught up. I guess like the biggest perpetrator there would be, you know, baking really big meshes, but. I mean, even that gives you a few seconds to breathe, which could be good in a lot of cases. So it's no worries about that. So here we're gonna put another one of these little interaction, like input shapes into a system that makes a roof scaffolding, pretty much. So
what kind of networks have you been using in this scene so far? It's been
yes,
obviously the stairs.
Yeah. So first of all, yeah. So far we haven't gotten to like very many, and all of them so far have used mesh inputs. But as you're gonna see, we have some more inputs that work, such as text and splines and such, and maybe images in the future. We'll see about that. We're gonna look into it, but you know, we can use pretty much the we have to do some developing, some clicking on keyboard keys to make the input parameter types work pretty much. If they exist in Blender, then we want to be able to use them in Unreal as well. But now we've gotten to most of them, and we can write stuff and make splines and all that kind of good stuff. So we're gonna see more of that in a while. But so far it's roof scaffolding, the hangar, like the room, and walkways, which I thought was a little bit fun. I repurposed as to like this kind of lift platform thing, which it worked kind of well for too, if you don't look at the underside. Well, we're not going to do that because there's a floor in the way, so please avert your eyes. But we're going to make some lights here. So gonna smack on a metal material here, and then some lights as well. And here we've been, as you can see here, I'm assigning material slots, which is what's happening. And we have obviously different material slots for all of these different polygons here, which is gonna you're gonna increase draw cost somewhat. You're gonna have performance hit obviously, but then we've also been just recently looking into a more optimized approach, I guess you could call it, depending on what platform you're going for and stuff, where we, instead of assigning different materials, have one material and then assign colors through UV coordinate designation of different parts of the mesh instead in Blender, and parameterizing that to be able to do it in Unreal as well, and just flicking through a color sheet pretty much to change the look of something, and that works for us in some cases.
And speaking of performance, that's also one of the things with procedural generated stuff that we really love, is that we have some other tools that allows us to kind of scale or pick different meshes depending on the platform that we are running the game on. And with tools like these, with geometry nodes, we could generate different meshes for different platforms. And you, as an artist or level designer, you don't have to think about that. You just can pull some levers and we get a different result. So
yeah,
again, removing a lot of that boring stuff that kind of comes when you want to optimize for kind of a more lower end platform.
Yeah.
Than you're building for.
Not everyone has a 3090, which I'm glad I have right now. It's making it look much better than it actually.
Are you flexing?
It's very flattering, to say the least. I'm very happy you guys developed that over at Epic. It makes it look very good. There we go. Some more stuff, and then now we're gonna make some cables. So
cables were actually kind of the first tools we looked at.
Yes.
Because when we were talking to both level design and an artist, cables and pipes, two types of assets that immediately comes to mind.
They immediately shuddered and didn't want to talk about it too much. Having to, as far as I understood it, what do I do now? The workflow before was, to make something like say a cable or something like that interacts with the environment. You export the whole environment as as an FBX or whatever, import it to your 3D suite of choice, and then you model that geometry you want after the fact, and then export it back and hope it fits and stuff, and hope to God that first geometry that you modeled it after doesn't change, because then you have to do it all over again.
Guess what? It did change.
It always changes apparently, so that's a lot of pain. So the cables were kind of a catalyst here. It was what made us really excited, and always makes you feel very good to see them just acting like cables without having to manually place all those vertices. Makes you feel very bad inside. So here we have a hanging cable network that we made. This one has been around for a while, but it's a real workhorse. It does its job well. Nothing too fancy. It's just there, and it works. Let's see here, cable thickness.
So what are you doing? You're setting some parameters.
Yes, and that's also something that could be talked about, of course. All of this here are parameters that are imported from Blender. So all of these exist. I guess this is maybe the time to do the thing. So if we pull up this we can do the cable generator here. So we're gonna see this network in a little while. This is our view in the Blender viewport, and we have a bunch of parameters here, and pretty much we're just lifting all this, looking at the file and just lifting it all into Unreal, and we're not, obviously not like taking the inner workings of Blender and then like transplanting them into the Unreal Engine, but rather we're sending what's happening to the parameters from Unreal and then over to Blender to change the thing, and then send the resulting geometry back, and that makes you able to make fun changes to the thing and to the thing you're building without too much hassle. And then you're gonna see more of it in a while.
That's one of the things I tried to put a lot of importance into as well, that I think we should encourage people to actually use these tools. So one of the things is that, for example, if there is a spline in Blender, when you pull in the network, you drag in the Blender file, it just creates an asset that already has a spline on it, already has all the things you need to use it set up. So if anyone at the company would like to try to make their own network, they can just make it and pull it in.
Yes, and that's also, as Christopher said earlier, we're starting to become a pretty like Blender heavy studio, and having this system in place then enables more of us to make these networks and and get these results. So it's not just like I feel like there's a lot of procedural specialists perhaps and stuff like that, and you definitely need to learn some stuff to use geometry nodes, but we feel like maybe the barrier of entry is lower than something that's bigger or more expensive or whatever it could be, or something that no one's used before. So that's very nice.
Cool.
Nice. So that was sorry.
While you drape some cables, I mean, tech-wise, when we are in the edit mode, we're using Unreal 5's new dynamic mesh for rendering, instead of trying to use some of the old legacy meshes. So that was super nice, a nice addition.
Great
for us. You don't need to think about what RHI that we're using. It just works. When we started looking at these tools, we did a bunch of experiments and a bunch of tools with job descripting, which is another super awesome technology inside of Unreal. But we kind of when we saw the potential of using Blender, and Blender Geometry Node became better and better and better with every release, it was like, let's do this.
Let's see where we can get this stuff. So now we're making some text here. Text parameters. You can pretty much so at our studio, we work a lot, obviously, and we are a VR studio, and a lot of platforms we're aiming for uses forward rendering and whatnot, which doesn't take too well to transparent textures and materials that uses transparency and so on. So wherever we kind of want to use meshes and mesh based like detail and stuff like that. It also looks better maybe and a lot of time with the depth in VR. And this has been really good. We really got excited about being able to, being able to use like text and baking text meshes that are, flat, extruded, whatever, with fonts, is something that actually is really important to us, since we can't really make it with with like real decals without a bunch of hassle. So this one was welcomed by the team, which is very nice. So, but now I'm gonna write something cool, which is kind of lame.
Ooh, Bay 4.
Yeah.
Hi, there was cool.
Yeah, we can change it back in a while. You maybe someone else has some better input, but we're gonna
We should take
go with
suggestions from chat for what
Yeah,
we
I
should
was
name
gonna say,
the bay.
see if someone has like some good ideas, and we'll go back and change it. So there we go. And yeah, this is also a good time to show the bake settings or the static mesh construction settings. So as you can see here, these just got absolutely mangled by our load settings because we have pretty aggressive load settings in many of our projects. So that's a really nice thing. We use these static mesh build setting data assets.
Yes.
And so we have one. This was a long one, and then I call it SMABs. So this is a text SMABs, which works a little bit better for thin.
What does SMAPS stand for?
Static mesh. I don't even know. The asset build settings. Yeah, there we go. You made that up. Yeah, but so basically when we're in here in the so this is a dynamic mesh now, as we just talked about. But as soon as you bake it down to a static mesh, those load settings are gonna kick in, and these are a bit less aggressive. So the text is legible maybe at a greater distance or whatever, and you can change those. You can tweak those settings in the data asset whenever you want, and then you would have to rebake the asset, but that would not take too much time, hopefully. So let's make some more cool text here. Also, a thing that we were very happy about getting working was able to duplicate these actors without blowing everything up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, wrong one. Here we go. Let's get some light up stuff.
That's one of those things I was talking about earlier. That it works, and then you do something, and it doesn't work. Yeah.
It definitely doesn't.
It worked on your machine, but not everyone else's.
Yeah. One of our favorite sayings.
It works because I didn't test it enough.
Exactly. So here you can see just like, booleans such as this, float variables, integers here. It pretty much it just takes what we've defined in the Blender file and then goes with it. So yeah, let's go with something a bit friendlier. Maybe one of those even more nicer ones.
Nice.
And we can make it a little bit smaller. And one thing I guess a lot of people are gonna be interested in, maybe not, is like the scalability of a lot of these, I guess. If we take this to a bit more, we can just go out of it. So here, and we change the font to something that's curved. Here we go. So here we can see, in a lot of these, we can tweak the detail level of these networks by changing some parameters that we have set up for, changing density, geometry density or whatever, and making sure that the static mesh that we're baking is fit for like the platform that we're putting it on. And as Christopher said earlier, that's something we're pretty excited about, being able to bake out a scene in a few different versions with a few different settings for those performance affecting parameters, which could be pretty cool, to make sure we have something that works for every platform or every device without too much manual work. So that's pretty nice. Here we have again some cool text that makes sense in the setting.
Did we get any nice suggestions for a floor? For a floor text.
Very excited to hear if someone has some bad suggestions.
see.
There
I've
we
seen
go.
a couple people suggest baby.
Oh,
Good one.
jeez. Yeah, that is a good one. Hey, why didn't I think of that? I'll be right back. This amazing page. So, let's see here. Baby. Hell yeah.
Perfect.
Baby. Here we go, guys. Loving it. Let's bake that down too. And yeah, these all end up in version controller wherever you want them. So you just keep going with whatever you want. There we go. We have some text, very nice. Let's make some more cables on the floor this time.
The favorite tool.
Yes, this is the one that started it all, and the one that hopefully works because it's also the oldest one. So any ugliness here, that's on me, guys. Just so you know, none of these two guys behind me, they've done a terrific job. All the stuff that looks bad is just my network's not.
You're too humble.
Not looking good. So let's do a generator. And I also have to, just real quick, I have to shout out the many artists here at Fast Travel that have made all of the props I'm placing out in the world here, such as the computers and chairs and whatever they have made, and I'm very thankful. Yes.
I mean that's again. I mean, creating games is always impressive when things comes together, but and again, seeing what talented people can do with the right tools is it's so cool. So this scene has been iterated on a bit, and then when we kind of got some input from one of our art directors in how to kind of do the lighting a bit more interesting. It really went from this is cool to like, whoa, this is awesome. So
collaborative effort here. Yeah. So as you can see, this is the network we just looked at in Blender. Yeah, this is it. It's in the scene now, and we have all the parameters here, and yeah, they can be changed to get a look that you like. So we're gonna make some cool cables to the ship here.
So what's really cool here with that particular one, I think, is that you can see it interacts with the floor there.
Oh yeah, I haven't mentioned that yet. So as you maybe saw a few moments ago, I pulled an actor into the interaction collection here. So that's another parameter type that we got here, which is collections, which is obviously a parameter type in Blender as well. And then so pretty much that enables us to pull several static mesh actors from Unreal, putting them in this array here, and then feeding that into Blender as a collection, which is one of these things here, which is pretty much just like a way to represent several models together to make them, so we can interact with them as one, pretty much. So we're gonna see here, we're gonna get up on this platform here, and it doesn't look very exciting, but we're gonna get to that. So let's make a little twist there, and then pull the correct actors in. Take that back maybe. So obviously we're kind of intersecting the little lift or ramp thing now. So as you also maybe saw here, so as soon as I click a dynamic or one of these geometry nodes actors in the scene, you're gonna see all the parameters pop up in our tool widget. But to be able to drag in those other baked dynamic actors as inputs for another one, we pin it pretty much. So now I've pinned the cable, and we can scroll down to the interaction collection, and then we just slot that in there, and now it's on top. So we've got so we added another thing to the array, and we can keep going with a cable that is behaving like.
So what's happening there is basically it pulls in all the mesh data for every mesh in the collection as well, and places them in a temporary scene. in Blender, and then Calle's tool does its magic in that new temporary scene, and then we get the result back. And what's really cool there is that, as you can see, like, I think it's so cool that different networks from different files can interact with each other inside Unreal.
Definitely, that's kind of what makes all this actually work.
It may not be the coolest thing, but
it's cool.
That's things that looks like when you kind of were the one to hack away at it for a few months. It feels like magic when you see it actually working.
Yeah, I mean, for a tool like cables, it's super important that it does interact with the environment. So
definitely. So here we have a bunch of ones. This one is particularly parameter heavy. There's a lot of them, but they all play their part. There we go, and then let's smack some.
But you just add the parameters for fun.
Oh yeah, to make them look more advanced. That's all I do. There we go, and then some metal for the clamps. Oh, I got it the other way around. Sorry, we got a metal cable on our hands, guys. What's that called? A wire? No, cable, wire, metal wire. There we go, and then as you can see here, this is thank you very much, Tina. And this is UV unwrapped along the like length of the cable as well as around, which is one of the more, I guess, kind of recent additions to be able to, we were able to pipe in UV information from Blender to Unreal as well, which is great, and that could be used in any manner of ways. Obviously, you can do it. Yeah, if you can do it in Blender, it's going to show up in Unreal as well. But we can do the twist here to make it look like you can see it like curving around, which makes it slightly cooler. I don't know why I may think that's so.
This is wild.
So nice.
I'm watching you do this, and I can't help but just think of every other time in my life I've had to go through and hand place multiple cables, let alone just the one long one, and make it look, I guess lived in might be the word, realistic. There's movement in it. It's not just a straight. Incredible.
Cable pain, it's real, man. There's so many carpal tunnel syndromes out there we could have saved, I guess. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's this one is it makes me feel things, I guess.
All the warm and fuzzy inside.
Yes. So and now here comes the really nice part, and I hope this is gonna work, and also you think this is cool as well. But
I'm scared. I'm excited, but I'm scared.
Well, that was also the thing. Being able to do that without too much manual work would make people very happy. Let's pull this out a little bit more, like that maybe, so we get some nice intersections, and then bake it again. So to be able to interact, we obviously need to bake these to static meshes. Otherwise, our system at least, we can't handle interacting with in the dynamic state or whatever you want to call it right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, I know. I haven't. Let's not try that right now. Holy shit, can you?
I think we can.
We're finding things out right as we speak. I think maybe that's. Yeah. We'll get back to you guys. Maybe that does work actually. Okay. Oh, you did. Holy crap! Why? I'm so sorry. Yeah. Okay. We'll get back. There we go. And so this is like, yeah. There we go. Very nice. Anyway, cables. They go over each other now. Like that. Maybe change it to orange.
Which sounds like such a small thing. I feel like this is one of those things specifically where anyone who might be watching this stream and they haven't been in like active development before and they haven't had to deal with intersecting cables or just cables stacked on top of each other, bundles, like we sound crazy freaking out over this, but you don't understand. This is huge.
Yeah, this is.
Forget about the room and the stairs, but we have cables.
Yeah.
We have cable.
We should just have made the whole stream around this, I guess. The cables.
Cables and pipes.
Cables and pipes.
Yeah.
That is what is in highest demand. We're gonna put another one down and pin it.
Do we have a crate in the sea?
A crate?
Yeah. Always have to have time to create, 2 seconds in video games.
Time to crate. Yeah, we're gonna put lots of crates in here to make Christopher happy. Don't you worry about that. We're gonna. Oh Jesus! I was about to get really messy. So that's, I guess, one way to still crash this thing is making a network and then not keeping track of like the parameter boundaries, I guess, if it's possible to have if we make this cable 1 million meters long or 1 million feet long or whatever, that's gonna be a bad time. But hopefully, we try to put in right now that's on me, unfortunately, because we make the limits in Blender and then import them into the engine. So I'm the one who has to make sure that they are reasonable, which is bad for everyone involved. Only if I forget, yes, which has happened several times. You can, for instance, that was a problem for a while, being able to set certain values to 0, so everything disappears, and that didn't make anything work particularly well. So let's pinch these together a little bit. Put them closer to 0, like that, so it looks like they're going into this computer thing. Very nice, and then let's pull them over here. We're gonna put in
So what are the cables doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Power?
I feel like...
Data?
Dude, I don't know much about spaceships or fighter jets, but I think probably charging some batteries. This is a pure EV plane.
It's just cool.
Yeah.
Cool cables.
More cool, less
Planes.
time. Now we're gonna put in some more interactions in here. I think we're pinned. Let's make
Not
sure.
the tech guys said that they're pretty sure it's for audio. The cables are for audio.
Yeah, of course.
Hell yeah, dude. Got this guy. There's a pilot in here sitting there vibing with music and stuff. Absolutely loving it.
0 static friction.
Yes, these are the fancy cables.
And gold cables.
And now let's set this sensitivity up a little bit. Maybe 0.1. And then the noise scale down to 1. I think we got the things in there. Let's see here. Oh yeah, this is a very common mistake. So, which is nice. This is a feature, not a bug. I want to tell you guys. But the spline has to be above the thing that it's supposed to interact with. But that actually makes it possible to make it go under things, even though it's that thing is in the geometry collection, which is nice. So now we have some cables going over some more cables, which always makes you feel good. Let's get some light on that. Oh yeah, buddy. Oh Jesus, I haven't even put on materials yet. Let's go with something there, and then some green. There we go, very nice. Yeah, loving it. There we go.
I'm still so satisfied about the building speed. Every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, so good, because that used to be 3 times as long.
Very slow. Yeah, I hope all you guys in the stream are enjoying us just marveling at our own thing, and we're just so glad it works. You have to say if it's getting obnoxious. Okay, let's put some more.
This is healthy. Being able to appreciate your own creation.
Perfect. Let's see here. What's it called? It's called floor plates generator.
Oh, no.
Yes, let's do that.
You're abandoning the pipes.
There's gonna be pipes in there. Don't you worry. Maybe some of that. Some of that. So here we have Yeah, this was actually, I think this was the first network that was created like on, specifically like on demand for one of our projects. Being able to make something, I mean, this could easily be a blueprint, I'm sure, but it was just like a good way for us to try something like this. So here we're gonna take a rectangle from modeling tools, and we're gonna make that into the shape that we're after. So here we're gonna, yeah, just slide some edges around. And
So right now it has the default input from
yes,
the
that's
Blender file.
that's good to know. Many of these networks, as we call them, we're just saying networks, but yeah, Geometry knows networks, obviously. They have default settings for every parameter, and that goes for the mesh inputs as well.
And the reason for that is also that when we started out, when we didn't have these defaults, we couldn't see the actors that you were placing in the scene. So like, oh, but I added it, or did I?
It was very confusing. Let's do there and there. I think you see a little line down there. Let's see if that worked out. I don't even know. I can't see anything. I didn't hide the other thing. Yeah, that looks good. Cool. Let's take that up again. And let's edit. Very good. And let's put this in there. There we go. And then we preserve. So here we have a little very important checkbox that just, yeah, preserve transform offset. Just takes pretty much the vector between the two actors and their origins into account, and makes the output of the network go on top of whatever you put into it, so that you don't have to like manually adjust too much. But yeah, we've got some intersections here, so let's try to fix that.
Yeah, that's basically because you just pull it into a Blender scene. So if it's offset in the world, it's also going to be offset in the scene. And sometimes you want that, but it's nice to have the option to.
That looks good. So here we can see some funky stuff going on, but that's just because of like how these plates tile. You can pull the center around to kind of get where you want. And then some messiness. Very nice. And then we bake that.
Sweet.
There we go. And then we can again we can do the thing where we have to edit this as well. Do the thing where we pull something more into the interaction. So there we go. Yeah, it looked decent before, but now we can clearly see them like going up onto the plates and moving on with their lives. Very nice. Let's do one more of these. Over here. Very nice. And as soon as I press edit on this, it's gonna disappear, but I assure you it's gonna be fine. It just went back over to the other side, but we need to make a new input, so that's what we're gonna do. Some more comfortable things for the people operating these computers to stand on. That's very important. Ergonomics, guys.
Standing mats.
Yes, we have those at the office here. There we go. There we go. We're pretty much gonna do the same thing as before. We can do this thing right off the bat, because I remembered it this time. And then let's see here. We're gonna have two of those. Here we go. Open that up. Yes, that's live. Very nice. And get this in there instead. Here we go. And then adjust it a little bit. Maybe like that. Cool. Get a quick bake. And then we'll move on to the last network, I think, that I've prepared, at least for this time. Let's just squeeze this one in there as well before we move on.
Take care of the cables.
Yeah.
There we go.
Cable
See that thing snapping up there? Very nice. And then bake it down. There we go. Nice. Okay. Very cool. And then I think we're gonna make some pipes. So yeah, this is also one of the things that was like high in demand from our artists here, being able to make pretty much like, what do you even call them, like air conditioning pipes or whatever they're used for. Anyone feel free to come up with a use case.
Ventilation.
Oh, here's a classic thing. I pinned it and then I pressed edit and I clicked edit again on the wrong one because I pinned it. And can't do that. Let's see here. We have the pipes over here. Unpin. There we go. Now we have some pipes. Sick. And these are gonna look a bit more interesting in a very short while. So maybe from over here. And then as soon as we... But oh look, it's a lamp in the way. Let's move out of that way. This makes no sense. I feel bad for the guy who will have to build like the air conditioning pipes like this, but now that we can, why not? We have some control over where these control points go. Ooh, yeah, damn. And then over here, maybe up, over, in here, and over. Ooh, that happens a lot. You think you're gonna get something that goes up, but you kind of grab the one that was before it. No worries at all. Ooh. It's kind of dark over here, so it needs to put some lights up in the roof. And then maybe it goes out there, I don't know. I'm not the air conditioning guy. Let's get a light in there. Maybe, yeah. You can do one of these cool ones, just to kind of get some light up on it. And this network also takes a interaction collection input. So here we can take the walls, and that's gonna make create like support structures for the pipe that just like goes straight into the wall wherever it finds it closest, and kind of orients the supporting clamps and whatnot. There we go. And let's put some materials on it. Let's do the orange like that, maybe. Very nice. And then some metal again. There we go. Bake. Almost forgot.
Nice cake.
There we have a big metal cake. Yeah. There we almost there. This one might have been.
They were crazy pipes.
Yeah, I might have missed some settings for the detail level there. Maybe it was like 20 or something. Maybe not. Anyway, it wasn't the fastest. Yeah. Here we go. We have a scene. Oh yeah, no, wait, I actually forgot something.
Yeah.
I forgot the lines. Should we do some more lines? Yeah, we have time for some lines, maybe. This is just another tool. It's not nothing crazy. I'll just add in some.
Add some lines.
Yeah. So lines. Yeah. So this is another one of the things that.
I don't think I've seen this.
Maybe not live, no. But this is also kind of in the same vein as the text tool, to be able to make just like decals for any like type of surface without having to, many of them can like be made with shaders and stuff like that. Might not always be suitable if it's just like, if it's static, it's probably best that it's a static mesh. And so we made this little line network here that makes like kind of warning or whatever lines, and makes that kind of a little bit more streamlined. And you can scale these points to get it more kind of dialed in and not looking so floppy. No one wants weird lines. Some settings for that, and then you got yourself a little straight looking thing in not too much time. I'll make it maybe yellow because that's a warning-y color.
Yes.
Let's see here. Get some. So sometimes we get some sea fighting, as you might notice there. We put some very small value up. We're gonna be good. Cool. And quick little duplication there. Edit. Remove the first spline point. And then get some symmetry going. Like that.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, let's go into game view. Let's see if this looks like something. It does look like something. I don't think I've forgotten too much stuff. Yeah, I mean, we've got a scene here.
Got a scene.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think
Well done.
we're pretty much wrapped up with the scene part and some of the tools that we've been working on in the system. And yeah, maybe open up for some questions. We can still look in the viewport if we want to, but we can go back whenever we feel like it.
This is awesome. I mean, a couple things that I completely agree with that's going on in chat here is, first of all, people are amazed that you were able to just literally put that entire scene together in like an hour, I think.
Yeah.
It's
What did we do? Yeah.
wild.
Something like that. Yeah, that's like that's what makes it like so fun, I guess. And obviously these networks have been, I mean, I've these have been made and it's not like you have to like sit there and really think about it for a while, but as soon as you've gotten them down and they work for the inputs that you're interested in, you can do stuff really fast. And it really like it takes away a lot of the limits that I think might be there if you're doing, say, like, segments that you construct in a 3D suite and then puzzle together or something. You can do like, if you move like an edge, a fragment of a centimeter, then that change is going to show up in the end result, and it's hopefully not going to break because you built it that way. And the precision is there, the speed is there, and that makes it just so it's just really enjoyable being able to make this like fast, just jumping in and changing things whenever you want to. Like, for instance, this is a classic one, making it look. Yeah, you can't see my screen now. Yeah, you can. Thank you very much.
We're on it.
Yeah, we're on it. Just like stuff like this, and then clicking accept and like a support beam, I guess, like showing up. Stuff like that makes it very nice to just sit and mess around with. And I think it being this fast enables, I think one of the things that we're really interested in is in like encouraging iteration, and we've been talking about this a lot, but it's really important that iteration feels like fun and rewarding and not painful, because then hopefully we're going to end up with something better in the end. So having a system like this that makes it like really easy to go in and change something after the fact, that's something we're really interested in.
And not only is it time saving, it's also, I mean, if you have time and you can iterate more, then obviously you will get to better end results.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like, of course, it's also worth mentioning that there was a lot of time and effort put into these tools beforehand by yourselves and your team. The tool creation didn't take an hour, but it feels like a lot of it's worth it in the end to then be able to later do stuff like this, be able to make a whole level just very quickly and with ease, with it being fun.
Yes.
I think that's where it really shines. It's those repetitive things that, like, even though making a network for it takes time too, it's going to take even more time. Like you save that time in the end, and also it's just more enjoyable to do these things.
Yeah, we didn't show this in this scene, but what we actually could do is that if we just replace the networks with something else, we could get a completely different art style, but with the same input geometry. You don't have to rebuild the level. So you're not limited to what you have done. You cannot free up the whole creation process of, no, actually we want to tweak the art style because we thought of something, and we don't have to rebuild everything. We can just tweak tools and regenerate the levels. That is also one of the really powerful thing about Procedural, that you can just regenerate it. It's just a click away.
What we're really after here is, like, the input geometry that you built. That's like the hard work, like on the production end. But as soon as you have that and your network, you don't change like what input data you're interested in, you're gonna be able to just re-import, just keep re-importing that network that you had, pressing edit, and those changes will show up, which is very cool. Being able to like iterate without too much pain.
Yeah, definitely.
As you can see here, these are checked out, so they've been changed and re-imported and all that kind of stuff.
Right, yeah. Well, I've gathered here a couple of questions. If y'all are up for just kind of going through some rapid fire Q&A with us here for a moment.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. So the first question, and this is going to be me paraphrasing from a bunch of questions, condensed all down into one, because quite a few people are curious. They're wondering if these tools will ever be publicly available, like if you would ever be interested in releasing them that way, or if they can convince you of something like that in the future.
Yeah, we joked about this yesterday. So the plan is not to make them publicly available. I mean, this is again coming back to the whole specialized purpose and the specialized case. It's tools that we create for the games that we are making to kind of speed up our process. Selling a product to someone else and the amount of support that comes with that, tutorials, documentation, etc., is not something that we are set up to do. So for now, this is internal tech that we are developing. But who knows? Never gonna say never.
Yeah. Never. Gonna say never.
Just said never.
No. Sorry.
Yeah, I think really one of the key things about these is being able to see the potential functionality of tools like this and being able to see that it's possible, it's been built, and what is capable with them, which is kind of just powerful information in and of itself.
And also, I mean, we see a lot of really cool tools being made with Blender and Geometry Nodes, and for us, being able to marry that with the awesome power of Unreal is really, really fantastic. Getting the best of two worlds. So with every iteration on modeling tools from your end, it's going to improve our tools as well. So yes, really, really cool to see these kind of tools work together.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Let's see. Next question we've got here is from Longer1996, and they're wondering if these tools also support Nanite in the workflow.
We haven't tried, but there should be a tick box in the static build settings.
Yeah. You can just pretty much
put it off now.
Yeah, you can just enable it.
Yeah, we don't use it in VR games, so we haven't tried it, I think.
No.
But it should work, because it's really just building static meshes from dynamic meshes, and
So whenever we can use Nanite in standalone VR, we're going to enable that technology.
We'll get back to you, yeah. And then it's going to be a question of getting our code to shuffle those millions of polygons from Blender over to Unreal. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think it is. It's easy to forget almost that you focus on VR specifically, and so these tools are really to help optimize and expedite your workflow for VR projects.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, and then also again, just emphasizing that each tool is being made with a special purpose. So the stairwell they look the way they do because of the purpose that they're going to serve, the hangar, etc. So it's something that we are talking about. Like, can we and in what way can we expose parameters that would allow level design and art to kind of influence the visual output from inside of Unreal? Because right now that is part of the Blender geometry node network that we are creating. But that's next level. We're happy to be here.
Yeah. We're happy to have you here. So it works out for me. Next question here is from Disfruitable Movie. I slaughtered that, but I'm gonna be confident and move on from it. But they're wondering how long in total it took you to develop these tools.
1 to 1.5 years, something like that.
Yeah, and that's only you, Henke. That's worth noting. That's pretty much one guy.
I've done that. Yeah.
Yes.
It is only him. So there's that.
Wow.
We've gone through so many different iterations. Like we said in the beginning, getting something up and running was pretty quick. But then getting something that is actually usable took a very long time.
Something that looks good and it's easy to use, and something that doesn't crash.
Yeah, like speed and stability is what I would say like took the most amount of time to get us this far. I'd say. I
mean, just today we realized that we are screwing up the undo logs, so we kind of need to do something about that. So yeah, we're not done yet.
That's why I practiced, so I didn't make a single mistake.
Yeah.
Which was impressive, honestly.
Another example is we made a restart button for when it crashes. But if you press the restart button when it hasn't crashed, it causes a crash.
Yeah.
So you can only fix crash button crashes if it's not a crash.
Yeah, we got some stuff to figure out.
I love that, honestly.
Yeah. We're on it.
Fix crash with crash. Yeah. It makes sense to me. Let's see. We have another question here from my name is Micah, and they're wondering, do you have some kind of sync so if something goes wrong, you can hop in Blender and see what caused that behavior? Something similar to like how Houdini has a session sync.
No,
it doesn't really work that way. What you get is you get the output from like if you since it's really Blender baked Blender built into a Python module, and then we like import that module and do all the syncing in Python in a Python instance. And sorry, what was the question?
If you can,
if we have like a log, you can see.
Exactly So you get like the output from that Python instance. So like if something crashes, you get the output, but it's not linked to Unreal in any way. Really, it's a separate instance. But it's just a system buffer that's a bridge between them.
But what we can do is you can export the mesh from Unreal and bring it into the into Blender and debug the network there.
Yeah. That's like the lion's share of like the troubleshooting when looking when going from when working in this system here is just like you see something absolutely go crazy or break, something gets upside down or whatever. Then I either open up Blender, open up a network, try to make a similar shape, or I export the thing that input shape from Unreal to an FBX and import it into Blender, and I can see what's happening. And that's been really nice. It's been very easy to like troubleshoot the like network side of things, because we have such a close, like the parity between Blender and Unreal is like very close, and the only like things that are the things that you have to like guess about is whether or not Unreal is producing a similar input mesh to Blender. So one thing we did there early on was like the meshes arrive from Unreal as kind of just like loose triangles, and they're also triangulated. But obviously in Blender you work a lot with quads, and they're joined together. So we have some stuff that just joins the points together and triangulates it in a way that we know that the inputs we're working with in Blender are very similar or exactly the same as the one we're gonna get from Unreal, and that enables like a lot of the debugging becomes a lot easier. Long answer to a pretty simple question, but there you go.
It was a good answer though. Another question here is, you all mentioned that you're working on potentially having a tool for pictures as well. They're wondering what is the current list of tools that you are hoping to tackle in the future?
Current list of tools. So image parameters, I think we're gonna go for in a while. Obviously, making undoing actions is pretty important, and getting like that's a big one. And making that work like well, that's gonna be big. And this is like pretty technical stuff, I guess, but I'm gonna get onto the other things later as well. What we want to look at as well is maybe partitioning of resulting meshes inside of the engine, because right now, if you make a very big input shape, you're gonna get a very big output shape naturally, and loading that in, using culling systems or whatever onto devices that don't like memory shuffling that much, you're gonna have a pretty bad time. So being able to like split them up into smaller meshes that are partitioned in a nice way and not breaking the look would be cool.
Yeah.
And then I'm hoping, this is a personal hope, I hope we get to getting simulation outputs, so using simulation nodes in Blender. For those who don't know, Blender just launched it's a very big update to geometry nodes, which puts it like a bit further up the ladder of proceduralism, I guess, where you can, the only thing it is pretty much is like loops, so we can simulate things and make things pretty much just more advanced outputs. And what we want to do there is just being able to give an input, run a simulation in Blender, and getting that simulation output would be great. So we're going to look into that as well, hopefully.
And then on the longer term vision of things, since we are doing it's part preparing for now tools for our game project, but also kind of looking into future interesting stuff. A personal kind of vision for me is to try and make this like a standalone service that we can kind of use and call from our games. We can generate geometry in runtime and kind of either as some sort of level creation tool, or just modding, or just being able to create cool stuff on the fly would be amazing. Have evolving worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of those sound both like very exciting potential features, but like lots of work. So I wish you luck in all of those endeavors.
The dynamic meshes in Unreal makes it a lot easier because you can change the meshes at runtime. So like now this is obviously purpose built for being in the editor, but it's very like it's not at all a stretch. It's something that we could do if we wanted to.
I mean, actually, a big chunk of the work and the struggles that we have had is to kind of create this real-time thing in the editor and not, in the runtime. To kind of get all the stuff updating correctly and trying to do this, not having to change stuff in the engine, but just keeping our own plugins.
That's very, very cool. Let's see here. Another question that we've got from Not the Tech Guy is, how do you tackle modeling the modular assets? Oftentimes, I don't always know every piece I need until assembly. Is it mostly handled beforehand, or is it a combination of thinking of as many variations as you can and then just adding more as you reach gaps in the coverage?
So we don't use modular assets at all here. This is most of these. So what we do, sorry about that, is we instance models on in points in space. But most of what you've seen here today is purely procedural. So pretty much we're creating them from data or with maths or whatever you want to call it. But in certain spots where where you're gonna have something that looks the same every time, then it makes more sense to model it in Blender and then instance that model on those points. A good example are like the clamps on the cables. Those are just like a model that are instanced along the spline together with a procedural geometry, which is the cable itself. But to answer the question, since it's not modular pieces, usually I just try to think of every way. You never can think of every way, but most of the ways we're going to use this, and then make sure like the system can handle all those variations in shapes and inputs. So what I do need to think about is like the variations in input parameters and input meshes and all that kind of stuff. So
the tools come, and there's always a wish. Well, not always, but a wish and a request, and a concept and an art direction coming from art. That's what we look at,
of course.
And then we create the tools to kind of produces the result that they want.
Yeah.
So they know the output they want, and then you just try and fix it.
Yeah, and you like iterate on the look like in that way with the nodes, instead of like pure modeling, I guess.
Awesome. Well, let's see. I've got 2 more questions to throw at you, if you're down for that.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Sure.
And I'm leaving the hardest for last because I always do. Chaos Gremlin, I must. It's necessary. So before that one, though, out of everything that you had shown us today, what is, and I feel like probably each of you can answer this individually, especially if you have different answers for it, but what is your favorite of the different tools that you have shown off today?
Oh, something about it. You go.
No, I don't want to go.
Okay, I'll go first. I think for me it's the walkways. Yeah, but it's just like I don't know, getting those like railings to sit on the right side of the platform edge. I mean, and this is a pretty simple constellation, but like you can make these like go back to front to back, and like up like a spiral staircase and all that kind of jazz. And making those railings like end up on the right side and behaving like they should, that took a while, and I'm really happy it looks good now, and I'm really happy. And that was also the first network that we did with a mesh painting, which was a pretty big breakthrough. So I must say that.
Yeah, I also like getting the mesh painting to work as it should. That was a good feeling. So it's nice to see it working. But I'm also very fond of that very simple network, and they've been teasing me about that there. But the one you can easily with the squares, but you can easily make in a
the floor plates generator. Yeah, it's.
I think it's so cool that you can just like cut out a piece, and it's so satisfying to the straight lines and everything.
Yeah, for me, I guess it's the ones that everyone feels is the most boring one. My favorite is the wall generator. It's kind of where it all started in my head. I wanted to do pretty levels, but I'm terrible at modeling. So I wanted a tool that I could do easy boxes and it would look awesome. That was kind of the base stuff. So just doing that, I love it.
Well, I appreciate your answers. I know it was kind of the equivalent of saying, like, pick your favorite child, but I appreciate.
Yeah. I mean, the hanging cables, they're not that cool. You can throw those away.
Well, the cables were my favorite, so there.
Yeah. I mean, the cables are. Yeah, they're good.
Awesome. And then my final question that I have for you all, the potentially hardest, it might not be, we'll see. But through this whole process of building these tools and getting them ready for your team and trying to speed up these workflows, if you had to condense all of that down into one piece of advice that you would like to give other developers who are also potentially thinking about making their own tools or looking into how to make their own workflows more efficient, what would that be?
Damn. That's a
I
good
told
one.
you.
I can start with this one. I think the best piece of advice is to solve one thing really well. Don't try to solve everything at once, because it's so easy to just get all of these fantastic ideas. Oh, we can do this tool. We need that feature. But really just focus on what is it that you want to really prove and get that done. And don't underestimate the amount of work it will go from, it works on my machine, to having someone that is not interested in your tech, but just wants to get the results out and will come with all of the usability requests in. So that's my advice. Focus.
Very good one.
Very good.
Thank you. Do you have anything?
I would say don't be afraid to destroy your babies. During this process, I've rewritten so much code, and that's because, obviously also this is my first company, and I didn't have Unreal experience before. So as I've gone along, I've read a lot of Unreal source code, and I've learned a lot from doing that. And as I went along, I've realized this is a much better way of doing things, and then putting in that time to rewriting the code in a better way, it really helps you down the line to have it organized, because it makes it just easier to work with. So don't feel like, oh, I've already done all this. It's better to do that in an early stage, as early as you can, because you have to rewrite less.
So you say refactoring.
Yeah, refactoring, basically. It really helps you, and it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe should I also go? Yeah, I don't know. Don't give up. No, I don't know. Keep going. I don't have a good one. I think that's it.
No, that's pretty solid.
I mean,
I think that's pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean, you struggle a lot on the other end, on the Blender side, in figuring out how the hell should I, do to get this working. And we haven't shown these tools today, but some of the tools that we have made has gone through so many iterations, because when you put it into production and you get a new, I'm using your tool in this way. I didn't think of that. So don't give up. It's a really good one.
Better than you might think.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Well, I think all of that was fantastic advice. And could all be practiced upon for certain. I think especially the idea of not being afraid to restart something is a pretty powerful one, and sometimes the most difficult to come to terms with, but is unfortunately necessary from time to time. So I appreciate that. I think that's all fantastic advice. Well, that's all of the questions that I have for you today. Is there anything else that y'all would like to say to the people to let us know?
We are just happy to be able to show you this, and hopefully this inspire you to create cool stuff and show the cool stuff that you are doing, because that's going to feed creativity somewhere else.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us, and thanks for all the great questions from chat and all the suggestions for texts and whatnot. And maybe we'll see each other again sometime where we've improved this more, or whatever's gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a verbal handshake to me. So.
I want to plug Christopher's new open source tool, because he's too humble to do it himself. So yeah, maybe you can say a few words.
Yeah, so we open sourced a software occlusion culling plugin. Basically, it took the code that was in Unreal Engine 4 and made it into a plugin that works with Unreal Engine 5 without requiring any engine changes. It's a big deal in the VR community, and maybe in the mobile community as well. I don't know, but yes, it's up on GitHub. There's a pin post in one of the forums, Unreal forums. So I guess we can post a link somewhere. Not sure.
And that's for just occlusion on devices that really need it.
Yeah, I mean, the rationale for us was that we really used the GPU to its max, and we needed a system that could run on the CPU where we had more performance to spare.
Keep an eye out for that if it piques your interest.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank you.
Thank you for
having us.
Of course. Thank you for being here. This was so much fun. It was such a pleasure having you on and being able to see everything that you've built and all of the hard work that has gone into it. It's some pretty incredible tools that you have put together. Plus, also, you have a whole backlog of really impressive projects, if I might say so myself. So for anyone who might be interested in learning more about fast travel games and some of the games that you have put out, where can they do so?
They can go to fasttravelgames.com.
Perfect. Nice and simple.
Yeah. And we have some games out on a few platforms, and go check them out if you want to, if you're into VR.
And the best is yet to come.
Yeah, the best is yet to come.
Awesome. All right. Well, there you go. You heard it, y'all. Go check them out if you're interested in learning more about this studio and all of the cool things that they have been doing. And one last big thank you to you and for taking the time to be on here again. This was so much fun. And of course, thank you everyone who came to watch the show. It wouldn't be what it is without you and your participation. We actually just reached 1 million subscribers on YouTube recently, which is
I saw that.
Huge.
Congrats.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's huge. So thank you all so much for being part of that and being part of this little community that we're building. Although I can't say little with 1 million subscribers on YouTube. That's a huge milestone. So thank you all so much for being here and participating, asking questions, and just hanging out. I love seeing all of you coming back, seeing your names repeated in chat. It's great being able to see you. So thank you for being here. And of course, if you missed any part of the stream earlier, no worries whatsoever. We post all of our streams in video format that can be viewed on demand on both our YouTube and Twitch channel at Unreal Engine. You can also follow us on all social media to keep up with news and updates and all that good stuff at Unreal Engine as well. And if you haven't already, please come join us on our Epic developer community, which is dev.epicgames.com/community, where you can get into our forums. There's so many tutorials posted by not only our own developers, but also other developers that are in the community that have cool stuff to share. And there's just There is so much. So please go check it out if you haven't already. It's a lot of fun. And then, of course, last big announcement is Epic Mega Jam is coming up right around the corner. So if you're interested in participating, go check out all the rules. We have posted a blog post about it, so you can learn more about it. And hopefully you can join this year, hang out, participate, maybe earn some prizes along the way. It's a lot of fun. So go check out the Mega Jam. We'll be having lots of content coming up around that within the next couple weeks. And yeah, that's that. So one last big thank you again to the team here at Fast Travel Games for coming on, and we'll see all the rest of y'all later. Bye, everyone.
See you around.
Thank you. Bye.